let's take some more calls on Tottenham Hotspur. Let's speak to Daniel. Daniel, what did you want to say to Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy?
My thoughts on the last night. If we had have won the game as a Spurs fan, if we had have won the game, we would have been talking about a different approach this morning, saying that he was a great manager, be able to make 9 changes, and we're firing on all cylinders, even the B team. I just want your thoughts on that side of things.
Danny?
Yeah, you mean results change opinions? Well, that's the way of the world. I tend to agree with that, but I still think if they'd have won on penalties, there would have been some question marks around. If decent pundits and analysis would say that they got away with one, but I do hear you. I think in Tottenham's a bit different than other clubs in the fact that their recent history and desperate need for it or want for a trophy, and I think that's why it's being highlighted more. But yeah, you're probably right. But they didn't win, did they? So the questions do arise, and that's football, I'm afraid. Managers have probably lost jobs based on a penalty miss or a striker not scoring, and all of a sudden we're talking about a job he done rather than him doing a good job, and that's just the way of the world.
Okay, let's move on. Thank you very much. 03717223344 is the number to call. Let's speak to Dave, who's a Spurs fan in Derbyshire. Hello.
Hiya, how are you doing?
Yeah, good,
Hello.
thank you. Cheers for joining us.
No problem, great show, as always. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What do you want to say to Danny Murphy and Simon Jordan?
Well, I just want to say, I think we're being a bit harsh here. We've made 9 changes. We haven't lost the game, let's put that in perspective. Arsenal played a very similar Fulham side, and they only managed to get a draw. Yet we're slating a new manager, not just a manager, a new manager who's a handful of games to see his team of 25 plus players. And so he's got to try a little bit of something at some point. So I don't see the problem. Yes, we would love to win a cup. Of course, we would love to win a cup. But equally, we've got to give this guy his hand and let him see what he can do. Because personally, I think I'm very excited about it.
I don't think we're slating him. I think we're asking the question: why would you make 9 changes for a game against another Premier League team?
Yeah, so he's right. We didn't slate him. What we're talking about is maybe just having. I said he misread the room a little bit in terms of Tottenham's desire and want for a trophy. But 9 changes, I think, is too many for any manager. Irrelevant of Tottenham. I just think you're asking for trouble when you might make 9 changes. But yeah, I think there's lots of positive stuff. We've eulogised about Ange and his first few weeks in the job and what he's got and his characteristics and his warmth and his intelligence many times. And I think Tottenham fans are in for an exciting season.
I think we should big up the fact that Fulham played really well, aggressively on the front foot, high press, not getting caught in traps early on, making sure they waited before they put the high press on Tottenham Hotspur yesterday. They're very well drilled, very well organised. They were very well organised against Arsenal at the weekend as well, which is why they came away with a point from that game. Paul's a Spurs fan. Hello. Paul? Come on, Paul.
Hello.
Hello, mate. You all right? You're live on the radio. What do you want to say?
Sorry about that. Yeah, great show. And really just what Simon said and about it's a League Cup. It's a time for Ange to see what other players outside of probably 12, 13 players, including the 11, what they can do going forward. I mean, I think that he's just found there that there's 11 players that are not going to be good enough to play in the Premier League for us this season. So we need a better squad. We've got a few players to come back, Bentancur to come back. So I think it just that cup has just showed to us that we've got a really thin squad.
Yeah, I wonder whether or not maybe by accident almost, Ange Postecoglou has shone a light on that to Daniel Levy and the rest of the board with 3 days left of the transfer window. Charlie's a Spurs fan. Hello.
Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Good, right? Thank you. Say what you want to say.
Yeah, well, I was saying to you, research, I work for Leeds United, I work in the academy, so I'm involved in elite football. And as a coach and as a team manager, you always got to go for your first select. I don't buy into this, especially given the focus around the fact that the club has not won something since whenever. You've got to go with your first select, regardless of player rotation. The guys are elite footballers, they're elite sportsmen, and I just personally think he got it wrong last night, but I really like Ange in general. What's your thoughts there, gents?
Yeah, I think similar line to what I was saying. I think he got it wrong. There's some players who you would you could argue that 50% of the fan base would say there's a winger and somebody fancies him ahead of someone else. And actually, when you put them in, 2 or 3 personnel changes wouldn't affect the outcome. When you make 9 and you've got Højbjerg and Skip in the middle of the pitch, who aren't the most creative between them compared to Basuma and Sarr and Maddison as a 3, and Lo Celso's hardly played, then you are asking for trouble. And why give yourself the headache? Why? And I think it's not a catastrophe, and I think Tottenham are in for an exciting season with this new manager, but it was a mistake. And I don't think it'll happen again.
But it's tiny margins. I mean, let's have it right. Tottenham had 60% of the ball. They had this. Richarlison gets a goal, which is up
great.
And running. They score an own goal, so Tottenham scored both goals, and the margins are so small that I think that we're talking about micromanaging this manager's decisions. Every manager is going to make decisions, and they're going to live and die by them. But the margins of the decisions he made were so marginal in this. He loses the game in a penalty shootout by rotating his squad to have a look at a group of players that he's only ever going to find out by playing. Would you have preferred for him to have rotated to have a look around, because there's going to be players?
Shouldn't he have done that in pre-season though?
Well, come on, pre-season is vastly different than playing in a meaningful situation.
Hold on. These aren't lads he doesn't know. I mean, Davies has played how many? He could have watched 3 or 4 or 25,000 videos of him playing.
Came on against Manchester United.
No, but what I mean is,
the game.
I'm sure he knew Basuma from last year. I'm sure he watched plenty of videos of Basuma, but Basuma he's got this year is vastly different from the Basuma that we saw under Conte.
Well, we didn't see him.
Well, he saw aspects of him.
Well,
he'll have an impression of him, won't he? In the same way he'll have an impression of other players in the team.
He didn't need to play Højbjerg and Skip to know what they are and see them, because they've played God knows how many games last season. He could just watch the videos. You know, that I get giving them game time, that's different. But what he's saying is, his words were, I need to see how the other players are.
And I must make the point that although the fine margins are they won on penalties, that they scored an own goal, Fulham deserved to win the game in 90 minutes and actually should have won the game in 90 minutes. They had 3 or 4 clear-cut chances in the second half to actually take the game beyond Tottenham Hotspur. And for despite the fact that they had 60% possession, they're a counter-attacking team, Fulham. They wanted Tottenham to come onto them and then try to create chances on the counter-attack. They were the better team over the 90 minutes. Rory is the Spurs fan who's not happy at all. Hello.
Hello, mate. It's just heartbreaking. I was at the game and I was just saying to my man then, every season we look at it, we have 2 things to win, really, the FA Cup and the League Cup. And we're now down to half set. And I get it, I agree with Simon, you win some, you lose some in games, but it's just another kick in the shins. It's another 12 months. And we'll be here again in 12 months' time, and I'll be calling in and saying, yeah, right, again. Knocked out by Luton or someone lower than that. It's just rinse and repeat every year.
So do you think he made a mistake in making 9 changes? Or are you let down by the state of the squad? What is it?
I'm more let down because people are calling in talking as if the players that he played last night are newcomers, but Højbjerg, Perisic, Davies, Sanchez, bless him, I did feel sorry for him for that penalty. Lo Celso, these are established players in football at a club level. It's not like Skip, I can look past that. He's a young bloke, he's come through the academy. But the rest of them, I don't know what we do. I just don't know what we do.
Yeah, but hang on, Rory. I mean, you'll have, in Newcastle's world, you'll have people saying, well, Joe Linton was a pile of crap under Steve Bruce, and look at Almiron, he wasn't doing particularly very much. All of a sudden, Eddie Howe has got a different tune out of them. So there is a mentality of managers coming in that are able to get something more from a group of players or individual players than the previous manager has done. And I don't know why you'd be so heartbroken, because you've got a competition that you had no guarantee of winning. And we've seen how serious the bigger sides in the division take this competition, which is why Man City have dominated it over recent years. So the fact that you've lost the game will probably actually have more benefit to Ange Postecoglou than it'll have lost, because he'll look around, all the nonsense he'll have been listening to over the last 3 or 4 weeks from certain players that think they should be in the starting lineup will be on the back burner now, because that's been suppressed. Richarlison's got a goal, which is I think it's so important to get this guy up and running.
But the rest of it's nonsense, because if Højbjerg was the man of the match or Skip, they're not going to play out of Basuma or Sarr or Bentancur. So you're giving them game time.
Well, no, but
you're giving them game time.
But you're pushing back on the argument that they can be squad players, because this squad is going to be as important as the starting 11 in order for them to go deep into the FA Cup, or in order for them to get into the top 4. So if you've now suppressed any nagging voice in the back of your mind that maybe I should keep this player, maybe I should keep that player, no, they're not good enough for the squad. I've got to make decisions on the back of that now, because I've now seen it for myself.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.